They say betrayal doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just hangs there, like a jacket tossed casually over a kitchen chair. That's how it started for me. A simple brown leather jacket. One I didn't own. One I hadn't worn. One I hadn't bought. And yet, it was sitting in my kitchen like it paid rent. I stood there, keys still in hand, grocery bags dangling, just staring at it. My wife, Elena, was in the shower, at least that's what the running water suggested. Our dog Max sniffed the air nervously and then quietly slinked out of the room, like even he knew something was wrong. Elena. I called, though not loudly. Just enough to hear myself ask the question. There was no answer. Just the splash of water and the soft hum of someone in a good mood. Someone who had no idea I'd be home an hour early from the hardware store. I put the bags down slowly, as if my groceries might break under the weight of the moment. I walked toward the jacket. It wasn't new. Worn creases on the elbows. Cologne, cheap stuff, strong, still clinging to the collar. There was a receipt in the pocket. Gas station. $40 of premium, 2 Gatorades, and a pack of spearmint gum. Elena, I'm home, I said louder now, stepping toward the hall. The water shut off mid-chorus. 5 minutes later, she came out in a towel, wet hair, that same default smile she gave me every day. The one that used to mean something. Hey, babe, you're back early. I gestured toward the kitchen chair. Whose jacket? She froze. Just for a second. A tiny fracture in her otherwise Oscar-worthy performance. Then, oh, that's Paul's. He dropped it off. He stopped by. I told him I'd return it next time I saw him. Paul? I said it slowly, like the syllables were coated in molasses. Yeah, from the firm. You've met him. Drinks last month? That was a lie. I never met a Paul. Never heard his name. Never got a Christmas card or saw an email or a call. And I'm the guy who checks. Elena, there is no Paul, I said. She blinked, then laughed, too loud, too casual. God, you're paranoid. But paranoia doesn't leave receipts in strangers' pockets. The funny thing about truth? It doesn't always need a confession. It just needs a gas station receipt and a liar who forgets that phones track everything. Later that night, after Elena returned Paul's jacket to the trunk of her car, I waited until she fell asleep, peaceful, even. Like betrayal was no heavier than a throw pillow. I opened her phone. Not proud of it. Not ashamed either. She had a folder labeled Work Stuff. Creative. Inside were email drafts never sent, a string of blurry photos taken inside some downtown bar, and one curious voice memo titled Friday Night Recap. I listened. His voice. Not Paul. Not anyone she ever introduced me to. Just some guy talking like he'd known my kitchen tiles better than I did. And then you laughed so hard that Chardonnay came out your nose. God, Elena, you're ridiculous. Next time, skip the wine and just drink me instead. I paused the recording. My pulse didn't even spike. I guess part of me already knew. Next morning over eggs and that fake smile of hers, I tried one more time. Hey, I've been thinking. That jacket? You sure it was Paul's? She didn't look up from her toast. Yep. Because I checked with Steve from your office, I lied, casually sipping coffee. No, Paul. Never been one. At least not since the Christmas party in 2019, and that guy moved to Denver. That's when the fork froze halfway to her mouth. Elena. She looked up, swallowed hard. Then, calmly, like she'd rehearsed it, said, You went through my phone, didn't you? No, I said, letting the lie roll off easy. You gave me all the evidence I needed the moment you smiled and lied to my face. For once, she didn't have a comeback. Just silence. And somewhere behind her eyes, the gears were turning, looking not for forgiveness, but for a cover story that hadn't yet been written. A few days passed. She didn't admit anything. She also didn't deny it anymore. We were living in a Cold War, the kind where you both pretend to love the same music just so dinner doesn't feel like a hostage negotiation. Then came the kicker, a dinner invitation. Not from her. From him. It came in a cream envelope, no return address. Inside was a card, thick and fancy like it came from a wedding planner. Black ink, gold cursive. Logan, we should talk. Elena deserves honesty, and so do you. Let's have dinner like adults. Thursday, 7:30, Chez Leon. M. Chez Leon. Of course. The place she used to say was too stuffy for our anniversary, but now apparently good enough for her extracurriculars. That night, I got there 10 minutes early. He arrived 5 minutes late. And when he walked in, he looked exactly like I expected. Tailored jacket, smug smile, The kind of haircut you only get when you're trying to impress women with self-esteem issues. He slid into the seat across from me like we were old college buddies catching up after a divorce, ironically, not far off from what this was. Logan, he said, extending a hand I didn't shake. I appreciate you coming. You talk like a therapist, I replied. He smiled. No. Therapists are usually afraid of confrontation. The waiter came, and we ordered him a Cabernet, me a club soda. I didn't want to be foggy for whatever nonsense was about to hit the fan. She told me you were kind. A little boring, maybe, but good to her. She told me you were imaginary, I said, sipping. He chuckled. Touché. Then he leaned in, voice low. I'm not here to apologize. I'm here to make sure you don't do something stupid. You've got too much to lose. And frankly, she's not worth prison time. That was his mistake. Because the thing about warning a calm man not to get violent? It usually means you've underestimated how far he's already planned to go. The restaurant was dim, all low lights and high prices. The kind of place that made you speak softer, like raising your voice might chip the paint. Across from me, Mr. Gold Cursive Marcus, I guessed, sat with a face so smug it should have had a warning label. He sipped his wine like it was a performance. I know you're angry, he said. I leaned back in my chair, my club soda untouched. I'm not angry. No. You don't get anger. You get something worse. He raised an eyebrow. Enlighten me. Indifference. He smirked like I was bluffing, but I wasn't. Not even a little. See, anger is loud. Anger throws punches, smashes plates, and sends a dozen regretful texts the next morning. But indifference? That's patient. That's cold. That's surgical. You know, Logan, he said, folding his hands like a therapist about to break bad news, Elena never lied about you being a good man. But good men, boring men, get left. That's just the math. I tilted my head. Math? He nodded, like a college professor who thought he was being profound. You give her safety. I give her fire. She chose fire. I took a deep breath. Not out of restraint, but because my pulse had just dropped below calm. I was beyond mad. I was in clarity. Here's the thing, Marcus, I said, my voice as flat as a heart monitor. She didn't choose fire. She chose stupid. You're a phase. A tantrum. And I'm not here to win her back. I'm here to give you a weather forecast. He blinked. Storm's coming, I said. You're threatening me? No. I'm informing you. He laughed then. Laughed like a guy who never had a shovel in his trunk, who never knew what it was like to stare at a ceiling fan at 3 a.m. wondering when your whole life stopped being yours. I think we're done here, he said, grabbing his phone. You've had your say. Not yet, I said, sliding a small envelope across the table. He stared at it like it might explode. What is this? Proof. He opened it slowly. Inside were photos. Him and Elena. Different angles, different days. A hotel lobby. A gas station. That same brown leather jacket. One photo taken just last week, him grabbing her waist behind a Starbucks like some budget romance movie. You hired a PI. Of course I did. He flipped through the pictures, his expression darkening. You planning to show these to her family? Her job. I smiled. You're assuming I haven't already. And just like that, the color drained from his face. These weren't just photos. They were nuclear. Elena's parents were conservative. Her boss was old school. She had a promotion coming. Or had. Your move, I said, standing. He clenched his jaw. You're a real piece of work. Better than being a side piece. I left him there, sitting among his charred dreams, the check unpaid and the wine turning bitter. Outside, the air felt cleaner somehow. Colder, too. I liked it. Back home, Elena was waiting in the kitchen. She must have known I went. She didn't ask how it went. Just poured herself a glass of wine and leaned against the counter like she'd just gotten home from a spin class. How was dinner? She asked. Predictable. She nodded like that was fair. So what now? Now. Funny word. Now I move out. Her hand trembled just slightly as she set the wine down. You're really leaving? I left the moment you stopped being my wife, I said. Don't be dramatic, Logan. It was a mistake. No, I corrected. A mistake is forgetting your anniversary. You made a choice. Repeatedly. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. She blinked, suddenly furious. So that's it? After everything we've been through? No, I said. This is because of everything we've been through. And everything you threw away. She followed me down the hall as I grabbed a duffel bag from the closet. Don't do this, Logan. I stopped, turned, looked her dead in the eye. You already did. Her face cracked then. The first honest expression I'd seen in weeks. Not sadness. Not guilt. Just the realization that I wasn't bluffing. That I wasn't some sad, broken man begging her to stay. I was the storm. The suitcase wasn't heavy, just jeans, some t-shirts, my old gray hoodie, and the black boots she used to say made me look too serious. Fitting. I was nothing but serious now. I loaded it into the trunk of my car as Elena stood in the doorway. She didn't cry. No tears, no screams, no last-minute appeals to love. Just silence. That kind of hollow quiet you get after a house fire, when the smoke's cleared but the damage still stinks. As I backed out of the driveway, she stayed frozen in place, arms crossed like she was cold. Maybe she was. Or maybe it finally hit her that fire looks real different once it burns your house down. I didn't go far, just a 2-bedroom rental on the edge of town. It wasn't home, but it had locks that I controlled and walls that didn't whisper betrayal. I unpacked slowly, methodically. Like if I folded my shirts just right, I could fold up the pain too. For 2 weeks, I said nothing. No calls. No texts. I let her sit in the ruins she built, hoping maybe she'd try to fix it, not to win me back, but because some part of her still knew the difference between right and wrong. She didn't. Instead, I started hearing things. Small things. From mutual friends. From her coworkers. Hey man, just checking in. Heard Elena's been spiraling. Not trying to take sides, but she's telling people you left her for someone else. That true? She posted a pic with some guy at a concert. Comments were brutal. Thought you should know. Classic. Turned herself into the victim before the ashes even cooled. But the thing is, I wasn't surprised. This wasn't just a woman who cheated. This was a woman who rewrote history to sleep at night. And if she couldn't be the hero, she'd rather be the martyr than the villain. She forgot one thing, though. I don't play games. I end them. It was a Friday night when I ran into Rachel. She was the kind of ex you always wondered about, the one before Elena. We dated for a year back in our mid-20s, before life got complicated. She spotted me at the hardware store of all places. I was buying a wrench. She was buying paint. Logan, she said, blinking like she wasn't sure if I was real or just a ghost with good posture. I smiled. Rachel. Wow. Been what, 10 years? More like 12, she said, smiling. You look less stressed. Divorce'll do that, I deadpanned. She laughed, the kind of laugh that fills space. Elena. I nodded. She frowned. I'm sorry. I shrugged. Don't be. She made her choice. I'm just making mine. We ended up getting coffee. Nothing dramatic. No candlelight. Just 2 people with history and enough shared scars to skip the awkward small talk. You always were calm under pressure, she said, sipping her latte. Not calm, I corrected. Just clear. Anger makes people sloppy. I don't do sloppy. She nodded, eyes sharp. So what are you planning? I grinned. Wouldn't you like to know? 2 nights later, I got a message. Not from Elena. From Marcus. It was short. 2 sentences. You win. She's a mess. Good luck fixing her. Attached was a photo, Elena, half drunk at a bar, mascara running, phone dangling from her fingers like it weighed 100 pounds. Her smile was gone. So was the fire. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't care, but because he thought I was still playing the same game. He still didn't get it. I wasn't trying to win. I was trying to end this in a way she'd never forget. I waited 1 more week. Then I called her. She picked up on the first ring. Logan. Her voice cracked. Hi. I wasn't sure you'd ever. I need to drop something off, I said. A pause. Then, of course. Yeah. Come by whenever. It was surreal, walking back into that house. Same furniture. Same faint scent of lilac. But it didn't feel like mine anymore. Just a crime scene that nobody had cleaned up. She hovered by the kitchen island, nervously tucking her hair behind her ear. You look good, she said. You don't, I replied. She flinched, but didn't argue. I handed her a folder. What's this? She asked. Legal paperwork, I said. You won't need a lawyer. It's all clean. No assets to fight over. I don't want anything. Except one thing. She looked up. What? Silence. Her brows furrowed. I don't want you dragging my name through the dirt anymore, I said. No more lies. No more victim stories. You broke this. Not me. Own it. She bit her lip, eyes glossy. You want me to tell everyone I cheated? No. I want you to stop telling them I didn't. She stared at the folder. Then at me. And if I don't? I leaned in, my voice low. I've got enough receipts to ruin you twice. Photos. Texts. Timeline. I've even got recordings. She gasped. You recorded me? Not you, I said. Him. He talks a lot when he's drunk. Real generous with details. She sat down slowly, like her legs couldn't hold the weight of what I just said. Fine, she whispered. I nodded. Then we're done. And with that, I walked out for the last time. It's strange how peace doesn't come with closure. Not the real kind. Peace is a myth people sell in self-help books, like it's a souvenir you can pick up on your way out of heartbreak. What I had wasn't peace, it was purpose. Cold, focused, surgical purpose. I didn't want Elena back. I didn't want Marcus gone. I wanted something rarer than revenge. Memory. Not theirs, mine. I wanted every place she'd tainted, every room she laughed in while lying, every street corner that used to be ours. I wanted them scrubbed clean. Or burned down. Whichever came first. So I made a list. 1. The lake house, where she said, I've never been happier. 2. The wine bar, where she kissed me for the first time with trembling hands. 3. That stupid hiking trail where I carved our initials into a tree like I believed that meant something. One by one, I went to each place. Sat there. Alone. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there and rewrote the memory. At the lake house, I poured a drink. Same scotch I had the night we celebrated our 2nd anniversary. But this time, I toasted myself. To endings, I said, raising the glass toward the moonlit water. To finally seeing clearly. At the wine bar, I ordered her favorite, rose, dry, overpriced, and left it untouched. And at the trail, I brought a knife. Found the tree. Found the carving. And turned L plus E into L. A clean break. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. Not my brother. Not Rachel. Not even the buddy who offered to make Marcus disappear for the right price. Jokingly, I hope. I just vanished from the radar. Let the world assume whatever it wanted. But of course, she couldn't help herself. Elena called again. This time, I let it ring. Then another text. Logan, please. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Then another. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I'm seeing a therapist. I'm doing everything I should have done years ago. Please don't hate me forever. Then a final one, the one she thought might break me. Marcus left. He said I was too much work. You were right. I didn't reply. Because that text wasn't for me. That was for her. She needed someone to forgive her, so she didn't have to hate herself. I wasn't going to give her that gift. 3 weeks later, I saw her by accident. Grocery store. She looked smaller somehow. Not in stature, just in presence. The fire she used to walk with, that blinding, look at me confidence, it was gone. Replaced by a quiet awkwardness she didn't wear well. She was holding a box of tea. Herbal. Stress relief. Figures. She spotted me, froze, then gave a hesitant wave. I nodded once. Civil, like you might nod at a former coworker who once tried to stab you in the back with a letter opener. She stepped toward me. Logan. I didn't flinch. Elena. Can we talk? I glanced at her cart. Bananas. Almond milk. Cat food. We never owned a cat. I think we already did, I said. She looked down. You look good. I am good. Silence. I'm trying to fix myself, she whispered. I just thought you should know. I gave her a long look. Not angry. Not cold. Just honest. Elena, the version of you that hurt me, that lied, that cheated, that looked me in the eye and swore it was just work trips and stress, that version died the day I walked out. She blinked rapidly. I'm glad you're getting help, I added. I hope you build a life you can live with. But don't come looking for the man you broke to glue you back together. Her breath caught. You're really done. I nodded. I've been done. You're just late to the realization. And I walked away. That night, Rachel called. We'd been texting, laughing, sharing photos of bad TV dinners and childhood injuries. Slowly, our talks had grown roots. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. Saw Elena today. Oh, she's trying to change. But I don't think it's for me. That's good. I paused. Is it weird I don't feel anything? No, she said. It means you finally felt everything already. You're just on the other side of it now. The other side. Funny phrase. Because if this was the other side, it was colder. But also cleaner. I sat back, staring out the window of my small rental. Rain tapping the glass. The scent of fresh coffee in the air. No drama. No lies. Just me. Just now. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't want to burn anything. Not yet, anyway. I thought I was done with him. Marcus. Thought the smug, cologne-soaked chapter of my life had been closed when he walked out on Elena like a contractor abandoning a job halfway through demolition. But snakes don't leave quietly. They rattle first. It started with a voicemail. No caller ID. Logan, you think you're clever. You think I don't know what you've done. But people like you, you don't just walk away clean. Click. I didn't even save it. Just poured another cup of coffee and went about my morning like it was any other Tuesday. If you've ever seen a man try to reclaim his pride after being used, you know the signs. Rage without direction. Threats with no teeth. But then it got worse. Rachel's car tires were slashed outside her apartment. A dead crow showed up on my doorstep. Wrapped in one of those silk neckties Marcus always wore, like he was auditioning for a role in Wall Street 2. Narcissist boogaloo. Petty? Sure. Creepy? Slightly. But effective? Only in making me decide. See, I'm not a violent man. Never have been. But I'm also not the type to wait around for things to work themselves out. I'd spent months dealing with liars, gaslighters, cowards in tailored suits. I'd been the better man, the calm man. I'd played defense long enough. It was time to go on offense. Marcus was staying in a condo downtown, fancy building, valet only, the kind where the front desk guy is paid not to notice the married men sneaking in college-age life coaches at 2 a.m. But Marcus? He wasn't subtle. He was a peacock with a Bluetooth headset and a leased BMW. His ego needed witnesses. So I made sure I was one. I showed up the next evening, button-down shirt, clipboard in hand, and a fake ID badge that read City Noise Compliance Officer. Found it online for $12. Evening, sir, I told the doorman. We've had complaints about a unit, loud music, possible disturbances. Need to inspect 14B. He barely looked up. Marcus. Bingo. He waved me through. I took the elevator up, clipboard tapping rhythmically against my leg. Not nerves. Not hesitation. Precision. I knocked. Marcus opened the door in a bathrobe and holding a glass of wine like the final boss of a narcissist convention. His smirk faltered. What the Logan? I stepped inside. Bold of you, he muttered, setting the glass down. No. Stupid of you, I corrected. He squared up, trying to posture. You here to cry? To threaten me again? I already walked away from Elena. What more do you want? I closed the door behind me. I want your silence. He laughed. You think I care about your little lectures? Please. You're a relic, man. A leftover from her pity phase. I pulled the envelope from my jacket. Same envelope I'd shown him at dinner, only this one had new contents. Photos, he said, unimpressed. Old news. No, I replied. Evidence. He raised an eyebrow. Your company, Timberhawk Investments. Sketchy tax filings. 2 employees who don't exist. And your ex-partner from Chicago? He's real chatty when you dangle immunity and a subpoena. Now he looked concerned. Are you blackmailing me? He asked, incredulous. No, I said calmly. I'm offering you mercy. You leave me and everyone I care about alone, or the SEC gets a little surprise package in their Monday inbox. He stepped back. You'd really do that? I already have. I just haven't hit send. He opened his mouth like he had something big to say, some final retort that would make it all go away. But nothing came, because he knew. He was beaten. Not with fists. Not with screams. With facts. With the kind of quiet vengeance that doesn't need volume to be effective. I turned and left him there. Bathrobe, barefoot, glass of wine trembling in his hand like the paper tiger he always was. Back at the apartment, Rachel was waiting. She knew I was out. She didn't ask where. She just looked at me as I walked in. I sharp, reading the weight in my steps. Did you do it? She asked. Yep. And he's done. Just doesn't know how loud the silence will be yet. She nodded. You didn't have to protect me, you know? I didn't do it for you, I said, pulling off my coat. I did it for me. She smiled. Still. Thank you. We sat on the couch. No TV. No music. Just 2 people surrounded by the kind of quiet that means something. I thought about Marcus. About Elena. About how betrayal makes you feel like you've lost everything, until you realize what you actually lost was a lie dressed as loyalty. And that's a win in my book. It had to end where it began. Not the house. Not the restaurant. But the gravesite. My father's. He was a quiet man. Stern. A man who once told me, never start a fight, son. But make damn sure you finish one. I hadn't visited in a while, not out of neglect, but because I didn't want to stand there until I had something worth saying. Now I did. I stood over the stone and took a breath. I didn't fall apart. Dad. I didn't yell, didn't beg. I held the line. The wind rustled through the trees. I took it as permission to keep going. I saw her. I saw what she was behind the smile. I faced it. Took it all. Pause. And I didn't become what they did. That's the part one think you'd be proud of. I stayed a few more minutes. Long enough to feel it, not peace, but permission. Then I walked away for the last time. A week later, a letter arrived. Handwritten. No envelope. From Elena. Logan. I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't expect forgiveness. But I owe you the truth. She detailed everything. When the affair started. The lies she told to keep it alive. The lies she told herself to justify it. You were good. Too good. I felt small next to that, and instead of rising to meet it, I tried to burn it down. I understand now that what I called boring was just steady, and what I called safe was actually love. She didn't ask me back. That part? I respected. She signed it simply. I'm sorry, Elena. I read it once. Then I burned it. Not out of anger, but because the chapter had already been written, and I had no intention of giving it a sequel. It's been 6 months now. Rachel and I are still something. Not labeled. Just two people learning each other without urgency. Elena moved out of state. I heard she got a job in marketing, changed her hair, started therapy. That's good. I hope she heals. Marcus? His business got investigated. Nothing public yet, but I know what's coming. You can't scam the world forever and expect it to clap for you. As for me, I sleep better. Not because I got revenge. Not because I won. But because I didn't break. In a world full of liars, cheaters, and cowards in suits, I stayed who I was. I held the line. I endured the storm. And when it passed, I was still standing, with nothing left to prove, and everything ahead.